That kind of nerd. Let's start the show with comics, movies, and technology. Here we go, bringing you the segments that you're looking for, like Cape Talk, Screen to Stream, Tech Perspective, and more. Cast this nerd degree and the blockbuster. Welcome to the club, 'cause you're that kind of nerd.
Welcome, everyone, to That Kind of Nerds podcast. Something weekly, bi-weekly, sometime show. It's a show that tells you what's going on in the nerdy world. My name is Josh Burns, and I'm joined by Brian Thornton.
They call me Pineapple Soda.
It's the Burnstons.
The Burnstons are here.
It's just coming to you, just the two of us, because CJ had more pressing matters. And we have a crazy show full of trailers and a couple of things that CJ loaded into the show notes that I may or may not make fun of him for.
I would love if we do nothing but butcher the things that CJ wants us to talk about.
And we might.
Just completely throw it like under the bus,
We might,
and I'll keep it all on the show because I'm also editing this week. So unlike CJ, I won't cut out shitty topics. I will let it ride.
I have the trailers organized in an order that may surprise you, but we do have quite a few trailers to talk about in our segment that we call Screen to Stream. So, I thought that we had enough of origin stories after Wolverine, but apparently not, because we've gotten a G.I. Joe origin story of Snake Eyes.
We did, and this trailer I actually did watch, so I can give you my thoughts and queries, and I forgot this movie was happening. This movie was announced in like 2014. I completely forgot it was a thing.
Really?
Yeah, and then they dropped this trailer. And so here's the thing, like I don't know about you, but like the coolest thing about Snake Eyes for me
is that he doesn't talk.
That's right. And that he's just a badass ninja who doesn't talk. I don't know where he comes from. I don't know where he goes. I don't know where he comes from, Cotton Eye Joe.
You're saying the coolest thing about Snake Eyes is that we don't know his origin?
Yeah, this is very reminiscent of someone else whose origin we didn't know and didn't need to know, but then we found out.
You mean the Joker?
What's that?
You mean the Joker?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't understand this obsession of taking the one thing that makes a character really interesting. And
mystery, right?
Listen, like, There's obviously there's more to Snake Eyes that makes them interesting. Obviously, There's more to Joker and more to Wolverine that makes them interesting. But like, it's all like centered around the fact that their past is a mystery, that they don't know, that you as a viewer don't know about it, and then we ruin that by giving a for sure origin.
So I'll say that I like Henry Golding. I do.
I love him. I think he's great. I really do.
The stuff that I've seen him in, I've been a fan.
Did you see Last Christmas?
No, but
then
a Simple
you're
Favor.
Not a true Henry Golding fan. No, I'm joking.
A Simple Favor.
Simple Favor is great. I actually really enjoyed Crazy Rich Asians.
The Gentleman.
Yep, also good. I Last Christmas. You know what? The twist is laughable, and you can see it coming 10,000 miles away, but it's a cute movie. He is a charming AF actor.
Yeah, and that's fine. I will say that I think the origin story that we got in the first G.I. Joe movie was probably enough for Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
But okay, that's fine. The thing that this trailer maybe hinted at but didn't really show explicitly was Storm Shadow. Like, I think I saw Storm Shadow, but I'm not sure.
Well, he's the Sub-Zero to his Scorpion. Like, he's got to show up. I mean, at least for a moment. Yeah, I know. Listen, I know I'm like sitting here saying, I don't need this movie. I also know that I will be coming and plunking down my $10, $20 or my stream, however they're deciding to release this.
Sure.
To see this movie. Like, no doubt about it. I just, and you know what? It might be freaking amazeballs, and I could be eating my words. And if that's the case, then you throw your confetti and eat ravioli, apparently, because that's what CJ says we do.
That's what you do when you throw confetti. You also
then
eat
you
ravioli.
also eat the ravioli that's filled with the confetti. But yeah, I just I would love to see another G.I. Joe. We haven't done G.I. Joe right yet. Like there were so many good things about both movies, but there were so many bad things about both movies.
Yeah,
I just want to see a good one.
I did like both, and I do understand that they were also both shit. But it didn't stop me from liking them. So I'm with you. I agree. I think that when we talk about movies that might be total shit, looking at The Ice Road starring Liam Neeson is probably firmly in that category.
All right, well, I have not watched this, so I'm going to watch the trailer right now. But before I do, is he an ice road trucker who has to save his daughter in France?
Not his daughter, but he is an ice road trucker.
So I'm on the right track.
He is unnecessarily angry.
Okay, so this trailer is about a minute too long. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Indeed.
Wow, I do not know. It's Fast and Furious on ice. They're trying to be, at least. But Fast and Furious did it already in Fate of the Furious, where they fought a submarine. So,
a submarine.
Yeah. I thought
the best way for us to get across this ice that's cracking is to tie all these big rigs together.
Oh, yeah, because it makes total sense.
Is it?
It really is. So listen, I'll explain the physics to you. In Liam Neeson movies, physics don't exist.
Right.
So whatever Liam Neeson says goes.
Well, he says that now he's angry.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to. I would imagine. He's
been sabotaged, and now he's angry.
Sabotaged. Wow, that's not a good looking movie. And
no,
it's on Netflix. So I don't even want to watch it for free. That's just
right.
Because here's my thing. If the trailer is a minute too long, I'm gonna be done with this. This is a 45-minute episode of CSI Ice Road Trucker Edition, and that's it.
I'm thinking throw it on and fall asleep.
Sure. This, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what Liam Neeson is doing, because I thought he was done with these over the top kind of action films. At least that's what he said.
What? They're just printing money for him. Why would he be done with them?
He said he was done with them. I'm only relaying what the man has said in his, what is he, Welsh? Or CJ? CJ would know what he is in his very gravelly Welsh accent.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I cannot say that I am in for this, sir.
Well, something that I know for a fact you're in for is Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which is a little on the nose, but I thought nonetheless was a pretty spectacular trailer.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this briefly to you, and I'm glad we're talking about this, because I want to get my feelings known. I like the first Venom movie. I think we talked about it when it came out. Yep. I mean, definitely much better than I thought it was going to be. Nowhere near Marvel tier. It's just fun. It was a fun movie. And this one seems to be continuing that theme, right? The trailer had, some lighthearted moments with Venom.
Combined with terrifying.
Combined with, the action-y, scenes. Sure. I really, really hope. My main issue with the first Venom movie was that clearly Sony didn't have any faith in it, so they didn't throw a ton of money at it. They threw just enough. So all the action scenes were very dark. So it was very hard to make out some things, especially in that final scene between him and Riot, and you're like, what the hell is going on? I really, really hope that now that, Venom, the first Venom made a ton of money, that Sony just threw cash at this, because I want to see this fight. If this is going to be a fight, show it to me. I want to be able to make out what's happening.
Well, I think even with just the screen caps that we've seen of Carnage, you mentioned the action scenes being very dark, and they've put a significant light source behind Carnage. They've illuminated Carnage quite a bit. leads me to believe that they will give us the fight that we want.
I hope so. Because it's also very easy to just take those two scenes that Carnage looks good and put them in the trailer, you know? So
No, you're right. You're right. But for me, this is less a comic book anti-hero story and more a Tom Hardy movie, right? Like,
sure.
Tom Hardy is really solid in this role.
Yeah.
And the back and forth between Tom Hardy and the inner Venom voice.
Yeah, and he does voice. Yeah.
That's what, right, he does. But, like, that's what gets me to the theater. And everything else is gravy at that point.
Yeah, and I love those scenes, especially in the first movie where he's talking and having this kind of, like, inner conflict. That's when Venom's good, right? Like, Venom, Eddie Brock, where he is an asshole, he's not evil. Like, no. Venom is what brings the evil out in him. And when he is a quote-unquote villain, it's nice to see that back and forth, right? That's what we expect from Venom. I do wish there was a little bit more of, like, the horror elements of Venom in these movies. I read a really great comic book story, which was pretty much The Thing, but with the symbiote, which was really great, and I would love to see something like that. I'm not saying it has to be now, but, you know, in the near future, as we, you know, continue to do these movies, because we're going to continue to do them, I would love to see a more horrific take on it, because Venom has the capability to do that. But
yeah, I think Venom is already the most horrific thing we see in terms of comic book
until
movies.
We see Morbius, and we see what they do with Morbius, because that's very possible.
Even if we see, like, I don't see Morbius being as scary as Venom. I just don't.
No, I mean, and you're absolutely right, and that's why, like, some of those comedy bits, you have to have a really good balance of it, because if it's too much, then it's just a joke, and the horror is gone. Like, that first movie, like, the scene where he's, like, just holding that guy up, and, like, you really believe he's gonna, like, bite his face off, and, like, it's terrifying, and it's supposed to be. Yep. So, like, with the introduction of Carnage has this propensity to push it into the more comedic, because he is so this is why I'm very conflicted with Carnage as a comic book character, because everybody loves him because he's like Spider-Man's Joker. He's not, but he is a serial killer. He is not a good guy. He is someone who takes this power and just completely uses it to be full-on evil.
Right.
And when you have that character, you then need to take Venom and you need to dial him back. You can't have Venom being scary and terrifying and evil and then have Carnage doing that. How do you one-up Venom? You need to, like, go completely bonkers with it. So you need to dial back Venom so that Carnage seems scarier, so that Carnage seems like a threat. And so that's what I'm worried about. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
I don't know, man.
Is that they dial back Venom.
You don't think it could just be like a Godzilla versus Kong thing?
I think it can. I think
which
it
works.
You're right, and I think it has the ability to do that, but I don't think that's what Sony wants to do.
All right, well, that's fair. That's fair. I think time will tell on.
Yeah, I think Legendary knows what they're doing with the Kaiju franchise. I don't know. I think Sony has grander plans for their Spider-Man properties, and there's no room for something like a Godzilla versus Kong vibe in Venom.
Had grander plans, right? They sold that shit.
Not yet. They didn't sell it. They still have the rights to make the movies.
I thought they were selling it to Marvel. No, I thought that was it.
Not that I heard.
Oh, then I
know they reached some sort of backdoor deal with Marvel.
Right.
And the reason it's backdoor is, like, no one knows what the deal is. They haven't come out and said it. Like, that's why you probably have the feeling, oh, maybe Sony's, like, slowly getting out. And you know what? God, I hope they do. But, like, when the first deal with Marvel happened, it was very clear. They were very upfront. We've got 5 movies, 3 of them Marvel, 3 with Sony. This is how it's going to work, and then it's done. And now, ever since they renegotiated, they're all of a sudden very tight-lipped about what that plan is and what it looks like. And you're like, what does this mean? Is this indefinite? Is this forever? Do I get to see Venom in my Avengers movie? If so,
None of your business.
Like, what is going on? So, I don't know. Only time will tell. I think Into the Spider-Verse put a little pep in Sony's step, and
It sure did.
I would be in a perfect world. I would be completely fine with Sony Animation. Give them all the Marvel animation stuff. Like, please, like,
Oh, stop it.
do more of that. Animation is different than
It is different.
the
but
live
I don't-
action
I
stuff.
I don't know that I want Sony in charge of it.
I don't know. Did you see The Mitchells versus the Machines? Because that movie was delightful, and that was Sony too. And I'm at the point where I'm like,
No, but I'll check it out.
if you give Lord and Miller anything, like, sure. If I could have Lord and Miller be the Kevin Feige of Marvel animation, done deal. Do it. Give it all. Like, I don't care.
All right. Well, that's fair. I get it. It's still a wait and see thing for me.
Yeah.
I did put the next three things that we're going to talk about will be fast, and I put them in here for I guess CJ's benefit or detriment. I'm not really sure. The first one is definitely I put in here so that CJ could hear us talk about the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
I am so excited for this movie.
Oh my God.
And
so excited.
I'm so glad that CJ's not here to go, oh, wow, the Hitman's Bodyguard was so awful.
Right.
Because I think, listen, I think Samuel Jackson is so freaking funny when
And
he's...
Ryan Reynolds is a treasure.
Yeah, and I just think... I think them together, they work so well. It's
Yep.
the Lethal Weapon formula that we've been missing for a little bit, because Samuel Jackson, it's so funny, because it's so funny to watch Ryan Reynolds be the straight man.
It's an odd
That's
couple.
the funny thing.
It's a funny odd couple thing, and it doesn't I don't think this recipe is achieved by any other two actors like
No,
this.
I think this is absolutely a great pairing, and I love that now we're going to get Salma Hayek in a bigger role.
Yep.
Seeing her,
Because she was funny. She was really funny in the first one.
And you know what? I know, like, it's so funny when you watch a career, right? And like, we've both been watching movies since Desperado to know, like,
Right.
that's where Salma Hayek like blew up, right? And like watching her do, and like early on she did a couple
But
comedies.
everybody forgot Fools Rush In.
Right.
And Fools Rush In was great.
And that's the thing. Early on, she did some comedies, and like, then there was this whole stretch where like she did nothing but like serious dramas, and there was a couple action things in there, and like,
Right.
you were like, oh, okay, and then like she shows up in this movie, and you're like, holy shit, I forgot she could be really funny. And,
That's
like,
right.
Like, so like, it's so refreshing to see someone like kind of bounce back and forth and do this kind of stuff. And so it's like imagine if Ryan Reynolds for the next 10 years did nothing but serious, dark and gritty drama and action movies, which he is capable of doing.
He is.
And he does them great. And then like you just completely forget that this is Van Wilder. This is Waiting. Like you forget
Deadpool,
about that guy
right.
for a while. And then it's so nice when they break out those muscles again. Like I'm excited. And Antonio Banderas is as the bad guy, right?
Right.
Holy crap. I haven't seen Antonio Banderas in anything since Ballistic X versus Sever.
Oh, I love that movie.
And like I know he's been around. I just haven't seen what he's been doing.
Spy Kids. He's been doing Spy Kids.
And you know what? Those movies are fun. But
They're
like,
fun, yeah.
I'm so excited to see him back. And like again, another guy who he can do comedy. I just watched recently, a couple months ago, we watched The Mask of Zorro. And gosh, that's such a fun freaking movie. And he is funny and he's charming in it, and he does all the action in it.
Sure.
But like, I'm just excited to see him do that stuff again.
Like for
This is
me,
gonna be great.
the movie where Antonio Banderas is at his most Antonio Banderas is Assassins.
Him and Sly
Him and Sly.
with the that-
exactly right.
Yep.
That scene, exactly right. That is Antonio Banderas at his most Antonio Banderas. And I look, there are a bunch of movies that happened, sort of from the late '90s to the mid 2000s. There that he was a pretty big name. So having him in here, this is a lot like The Expendables if it were a buddy cop movie.
I remember when movies like this were like everywhere, like when you had the Lethal Weapons and the Rush Hours, and like they were all the time. This was what the big box office movies were.
Blue Streak,
and Bad Boys was a part of this whole thing. And I love all those films.
Yep.
And so it's so nice to see them even sporadically coming back,
You see, CJ, how this movie has its place in the world, and how we're so excited for it.
To this, do you see how stupid you really are? We love you, but I mean, come on. Just get your head out of your ass.
So the next two trailers I included are both Broadway adaptations to the big screen. We have Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, and then Dear Evan Hansen, which is a Benjamin Platt film that he, I believe, starred in on Broadway as well. But West Side Story has been quite a long time in the making on the big screen.
This was delayed due to COVID too, I'm pretty sure, was it not?
I think so. I have watched the trailer. I think that you cannot go wrong with Ansel Elgort and obviously Steven Spielberg at the helm. It's exciting, but we all know what West Side Story is, and we know what to expect, and hopefully they do it justice on the big screen.
I was severely disappointed in this trailer. I saw no ruffians walking down
no dancing and snapping.
No snapping, walking down the street, very intimidating. I didn't see that. I was a little upset. But yeah, man, so here's the thing. I have a very in and out relationship with musicals. I like some, others I don't care for. Hamilton. And
that's just wrong.
I'm never been a huge fan of West Side Story. That's never been that's my feel good movie, right? Everybody has that one musical that's a feel good movie, So I'll see it. It's Steven Spielberg,
Sure.
When it's Steven Spielberg, you're at least gonna get guaranteed an interesting shot. It's going to be good filmmaking, even if it's not a good adaptation. So, I'll definitely check it out. Definitely, see how it is. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge West Side Story fan. And to your point, we all know the story. So
right.
What more can you do there?
I feel it's more, this would be more like my parents' speed, right? They definitely saw West Side Story on Broadway. It is not, it's not my thing. For me, the West Side Story sort of motif, for me, that would be Deuces Wild with Stephen Dorff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
There's been a lot of remakes that I feel
but that are West
speed.
Side Story-esque, right? And that's more my speed.
I just get high school choir PTSD flashbacks of singing Somewhere over and over and over again, and you're like, I don't care. This song is boring. Yay, Allison got the solo. Fuck you, Allison. I don't care. So. I don't know. I'm just not in love with it, but I'll check it out. Tell me about Dear Evan Hansen.
CJ's still not happy with the socials, but look, Dear Evan Hansen. I don't know if you watched this trailer, but it was.
I watched the first half of it on TikTok.
Yeah, look, that's actually what prompted me to look a little bit more closely. This was a Broadway show that Ben Platt won a Tony Award for. And look, I watched the trailer and I thought this is really, really something. This is an amazing story.
Here, let me watch the trailer before I talk out of my ass here.
What I do know is watching it felt very much to me like I'm in the middle of a Ben Folds song.
Yeah.
And it feels cathartic and so sad And like, I know at the end I'll get closure, but like the whole way there, I'm probably going to cry.
So here's my thing. The first thing that pops up in this trailer is from the songwriters of La La Land and Greatest Showman. And I'm like, great. I love both those movies.
Okay.
And then the next thing is from the director of something that I've never seen and Perks of Being a Wallflower. And I'm like, I did not care for Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Well, I never watched it. So
And so I'm not. It looks like, hey, I'm gonna have my heart ripped out for 2.5 hours, and then to your point, yeah, I'm gonna get closure. Gonna maybe get a little happy, but like, it's gonna be a rough watch.
It will be, but look, the Broadway show was nominated for 9 Tonys and won 6. Like, this show was no joke.
Sure.
And I think that Ben Platt is incredibly talented.
He is, and like,
and
he
so
doesn't do enough. Like,
so emotive and just underrated, right?
Like he's in Pitch Perfect. That was the first time I saw him.
And was amazing.
And was great. Like, and then like his character kind of like disappeared. But so did what was his name? Shane Ashmore.
Yeah.
All of their characters just kind of effed right off halfway through
right,
too.
Because the movie's about Becca, not her boyfriend.
And I'm completely fine with that. But then I think I saw him. I haven't actually watched it, but he was on that show, or he is still on that show, The Politician, which I've heard really, really good things about. And that's all I've seen this guy do. I mean, I'm sure he's done more, but yeah, I mean, understated, underrated. Wish he was doing a little bit more,
Yeah, I mean, The Politician. He's done, a couple movies. I don't think anything that crazy reviews about, but yeah, look, I saw this trailer and I thought this is going to be something that is going to be a thing, regardless of whether we like it or not. People are going to go see this.
Yeah, no, most definitely, and that's. It's so funny. We were just talking about this with Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Like, what's old is new again. Because again, remember like when musicals were everywhere, like dime a dozen. It seems like we're doing this cyclical relationship because we're getting more and more musicals. We're getting more and more, pop boiler like mystery thrillers. We're getting more and more buddy cop things and. The big blockbuster like Marvel movies are still there, which I love, but then
You're saying it's 1995 again?
I mean, that's what it feels like sometimes.
Basically, right?
It's what it feels like sometimes. And you know what? I'm on board for it. Like, come on. Like, that last half of the 90s, some of the best movies came out in the last half of the 90s.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And as far as, movies that have come out lately have been kind of... especially in terms of like thrillers or quiet horror, there hasn't been anything really great, but A Quiet Place was one of those in the past couple years that I thought was really something else. And we got a trailer for A Quiet Place Part 2, which like I might need a little help understanding because John Krasinski was in the trailer. Like, I didn't understand.
It looks like the stuff John Krasinski is in are flashbacks to when everything happened. And I loved Quiet Place. I love it when movies do new things. Go figure. Yeah. And it was something that like it's a gimmick, but it was something that I never seen before, and like. My wife and I went to see it, and like just you could hear a pin drop, not because the movie was quiet. Like you didn't hear popcorn bags rustling, you didn't hear people whispering. Like it engaged you, and like you were glued to it, and you were silent throughout it. I'm looking forward. I think this comes out in a couple weeks. And I think this is going to be the first movie my wife and I actually go to the movie theater to see. And it should be interesting. But I'm very excited to see kind of where this story goes now. I felt like the first movie kind of did a good job.
Yeah,
it was kind
really
of done. And like you kind of like ended that movie with a little hope of, hey, we we figured out that they don't.
Now we have Emily Blunt's rusty nail wrapped foot.
Yeah,
and she's walking around on it.
Yeah, poor thing.
Poor thing.
Trying to
Needs
figure
a
out how to
tetanus
keep
shot.
a baby quiet, and
That's
like,
right.
my gosh, like I
It
don't.
looks
have your-
intense. It looks just as intense as the first one. The first one was crazy. Like the silence was absolutely insane. I can't imagine having seen it in the theater. It had to be. The silence had to be deafening.
It was an experience. Like it wasn't even annoying. It wasn't even like, oh my God, I'm hearing the rattling in my ears, because everybody was just glued to what was happening on the screen.
Right.
And it was, and that's the beauty of this film, is that it took what could have very easily been a hokey gimmick, and it used it as a way to just engage the audience. And I'm totally on board with this. And John Krasinski, man, like, and you're going to crap a brick and yell at me for this, but I have not watched Jack Ryan, but I do love John Krasinski. And
Yeah, that's a mistake.
I know. I will eventually.
It's a real mistake because it just the first season, like standalone, was an amazing series on its own. Mm-hmm. I've watched the first season probably 6 times. I've watched the second one maybe 2 or 3. Season 2 wasn't as good as season 1, but having not watched Jack Ryan, that's a fucking crime.
I'm just, I'm trying to catch up. I'm making through my list. I have not touched Doctor Who yet.
Nobody cares about Doctor Who.
CJ
Watch
cares.
Jack Ryan. He might care, but he doesn't really care. Like, watch Jack Ryan. He's the hero you deserve.
I'm sure he is. I've enjoyed all the Jack Ryan movies. That's the thing. Like,
me too.
Even Shadow Recruit, which in summation is probably the worst Jack Ryan movie.
Whoa, no, it's not. Some of All Fears was worse.
Watch Some of All Fears again. It
I
holds
have.
up.
Shadow Recruit's better than Some of All Fears.
I don't agree with that.
Come on.
I just don't.
Chris Pine is a million times better than Affleck as Jack Ryan.
I'm not ranking the Jack Ryans. I'm ranking the movies. The movies themselves. Like, Some of All Fears has a better story.
Give me Kevin Costner and Chris Pine over Morgan Freeman and Ben Affleck.
Okay. All right.
All day.
That's fine. I actually, before we move forward, I forgot about this trailer, something that I wanted to share with you guys. Trailer called Sweet Tooth. It's premiering on Netflix.
I saw that trailer.
Okay, so I saw this trailer. It's based on a DC comic, and I'm bringing this up now because CJ always likes to tell me, well, tell us what Mr. I've never read the book. I have no idea what it's about.
Right.
But this trailer makes me want to read the book. It's got that, like, that like fantasy, like, element, like, very colorful, like, it looks really interesting. Set in a world where there's like these mutations going on. This kid has these antlers, like he's got like these deer features. But there's also some sort of like virus or something going on as well.
Well, it's the virus is what gives people these animal features.
Yeah.
And he happens to have these deer features, right? He happens to have buck sort of ears and antlers. Mm-hmm. I watched the trailer. It seemed cool.
Yeah. I'm definitely interested.
I don't hate some of the cast. Not Will Forte so much. I mean, I'm not a big fan. But
this is a turn for Will Forte, though. This does not seem normal Will.
Nonso Anozie. I'm not even sure I'm saying that right, but like that dude, I like very much. And, he's been in Game of Thrones. He's been in Guy Ritchie movies. Rock and Rolla. He was Tank in Rock and Rolla. He was in Ender's Game. I like him very, very much. I think he's a stellar actor. So, like, I get it, and it is Netflix, and I will watch it. This is not in my wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. But okay, he's like a little deer boy, kind of.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, it's 8 episodes. Right. It's 8 episodes on Netflix. You, Josh Burns, you'll get it done in not even a weekend. Like,
2 days.
So I think it's worth a shot. It looks interesting. It looks really just a very cool concept that I've never seen before. I would be remiss, and you're going to tell me to shut up probably. I would be remiss if I did not mention that the Friends reunion trailer dropped this week.
Yeah, that's the 27th, right?
That is this weekend, the 27th, on HBO Max. And I watched it. I grew up with Friends. You know, a very big part of my childhood. Well, not my childhood, but like, you know, growing up as an early teen watching Friends. I'll definitely check it out. But I watch that show now, and like it's still funny, but then like you start thinking about it, and you're like, these are terrible people. So I have a different view on Friends as an adult.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a show of its time. I don't know if it's as, I think there are certain moments that are timeless. I don't know if the show is as timeless.
No, I agree with that.
As everybody thinks.
I think there are moments that are timeless for sure. I think that, you know, if you're listening to the show and you haven't yet Googled Ross Geller and clicked the sofa that appears 3 times, you're missing out. I think you
can do that for, can't you do that for every friend? Pretty sure you can do every friend and it does a different thing each time. Like Google Rachel Green or Chandler Bing.
Yeah. So yeah, each one has their own little thing, but Ross is the pivot. Pivot. Right.
Which is that's a classic moment. That's a timeless moment. The episode which they show in the reunion trailer, which this is the timeless episode. Every time I think Friends, I think of this episode of the one where everyone finds out, where they all find out that Chandler and Monica are dating.
My eyes! Yes. Yes.
And I constantly quote the wait. They don't know. We know they know. We know they know. So like, I think that episode is timeless. But like the series as a whole, you watch it over and like it's got its troublesome areas. But
sure.
I mean, I love the show. I mean, I'm not gonna knock it.
Don't tell Zoe it's got its troublesome areas. She is 100% bought in. She has watched Friends front to back.
Good for her.
She is 100% bought in on Friends.
Okay, well, good. I mean, Zoe's got some good sitcom taste. Next, you gotta work backwards. You then go to like Family Matters and stuff like that.
I'm trying to get her to watch Cheers.
Nice.
Yeah, because I love Cheers.
Yeah, Cheers is great. So reunion, that should be exciting. Did you watch the Fresh Prince reunion special on HBO Max?
No, I mean, I watched Fresh Prince or so, but like I wasn't.
See, I watched that show a lot growing up too. So that reunion special was really good. I hope this reunion special is on at least that level, because it was nice to see them all together again.
Yeah. Well, these actors kind of need it to be, don't they? Like they needed to generate some buzz.
Some of them.
Most of them.
Who are we talking about? The Friends cast or the Fresh Prince cast?
The Friends cast.
The Friends cast?
Other than Jennifer Aniston, who has the morning show.
Jennifer Aniston, I mean, obviously has a great career, right? Courtney Cox actually has had a pretty decent career too. She does a lot more producing than she does acting now.
I'm saying currently, Jennifer Aniston.
It's the guys.
It's
the guys who are struggling.
Matt LeBlanc has something going on right now, but Matthew Perry doesn't.
What was that? CBS, Matt LeBlanc had that Man with a Plan show, and then he had extras. Yep. David Schwimmer just had a Peacock show. I don't know how good it is.
He's god awful. Like he can go away.
I mean, but I think for the most part, I think they all have had pretty decent careers, with the exception of Matthew Perry, and there's obvious reasons for it. Right. But you know, no one has exploded as much as Jennifer Aniston has. I think we can agree on that.
I don't think any of them had a bigger movie than any of the Matthew Perry movies.
Jennifer Aniston.
What movie though? Like, because what movie of hers was bigger than The Whole Nine Yards or Fools Rush In or?
Yeah, that's the second time you've mentioned Fools Rush In this podcast. Well, because
Salma Hayek, right?
Yes,
but like that's what I'm thinking about. Like, I don't know of any of other than the Adam Sandler movie.
before I jump in and go ahead and start figuring
Or
this out
Along
for
Came
you,
Polly.
Along Came Polly is definitely up there, but
that's a Ben Stiller movie.
you have got to tell me what you are defining as big. Like,
Wasn't The Whole Nine Yards a pretty big movie? Am I crazy?
I don't think it's as big as you think it was. I think it's
right.
well remembered. I think it was popular, but I don't think it was big.
Well, maybe I'm crazy then.
I'll give you Fools Rush In, because it was in that whole wave of romantic comedies in the 90s.
Right.
But Jennifer Aniston overall, let's see here.
106 million gross worldwide, The Whole Nine Yards.
Okay. In $1999, right?
Yeah, yes, in 1990.
I mean, that makes a difference, because if I look at Jennifer Aniston, who obviously is still working today, and
let me shut up. Along Came Polly was 178. I'll shut up now. I will shut up right now.
And then, like, her career goes on. I mean,
yep. Nope. I'm done.
I would also say Horrible Bosses. Way bigger.
Yeah, all right, but I'm not watching that for Jennifer Aniston, right? I'm watching that for Bateman.
Oh, but she's so funny in it.
Yeah,
she is great in it.
I don't know if you've watched the morning show, but you should.
I have not. You know what's funny?
It's really good.
I have had Apple TV for free for like 2 years because
I'm waiting for the next season
because
it was that good.
Pretty sure Apple is just convinced that we're never going to pay for Apple TV. They just
keep giving it to us.
They just keep giving it to us. And you know what? They sent me a message saying, "Hey, get 3 months of Apple Arcade for free." And I should sign up, because if it's anything like Apple TV, I'll just keep that crap for free forever.
Apple Arcade, I don't know if you're a Sudoku fan.
I'm not, but I saw the Oregon Trail on there. And if you could tell me I could die of dysentery anywhere.
But good Sudoku is amazing on arcade.
I'll have to look into that. In fact, you know what?
Well, while you're looking into that, I would like us to move on from all of this trailer craziness, all of this trailer mishigas, and we're going to move into...
Mishigas.
That's right. We're going to move into something new for That Kind of Nerds podcast. Something, Brian, just for you and I.
Aw. Okay.
Yeah. It's called Date Night for Friends.
All right, let me call my wife and make sure this is okay.
There's a Date Night for Lovers too, and I chose not to do that one.
Okay, all right, that's exciting.
So if you go into the show notes and you open Date Night for Friends, it says Date Night Questions for Friends.
Oh shit! I clicked for Lovers. Can we do that instead? No, I'm
back up and go to For Friends.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think what I'd like to do is just each one of us will ask each other a question or two.
Okay.
And we'll see where it goes.
So I clicked for Friends. I'm guessing there's this card I flip over?
You flip over the card, and you ask a question.
Okay. Well, I'll go first, since I already flipped my card. Josh, is there something you've dreamed of doing for a long time? What kept you from it?
I have a wife and children. No, look, I have, since I was a kid, I have wanted to live in a giant metropolitan city. I've wanted to live in New York City since I was young enough to understand what New York City was. I've been there a bajillion times. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to live there. But I value my life with Laura and the children more than the life I might have in New York City.
Gotcha. Okay. That's a very sweet.
Well, that's wonderful. I have a question for you. What was your favorite cartoon as a kid?
I watched so many cartoons as a kid. I don't even remember which one was my favorite, but I will give you a couple that I know were up there. And surprise, surprise, Spider-Man the Animated Series is on that list.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to wake up. So the great thing when I was growing up in circa 1992 to 95, I was 6 to 10. It was the golden age of animation, in my opinion. I would wake up Saturday mornings. I would watch Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man the Animated Series, X-Men the Animated Series, and then The Tick. And that was my Saturday morning. And it was fantastic. Darkwing Duck was also up there as well. I always enjoyed that show when I was going to the Disney side of things. But yeah, all those superhero animated shows, those things were my jam. I think Spider-Man the animated show, you watch that again, it's actually really well done. It actually holds up. And there's a lot of really interesting things that they do with those characters. Not as interesting as what Batman the Animated Series was doing.
Right.
But definitely up there. They did a lot of really interesting things. It was the first time I remember seeing this giant continuity storyline. Because Madam Web showed up in the first season talking about shit that happened 2 seasons later. And so it was the first time as a kid that I was trying to keep track of all the Madam Web things that were going on. And it's a shame because that show ends with Mary Jane goes missing and they never got renewed. And she gets
missing forever.
She gets trapped in this alternate universe. And the concept was in this next season, Spider-Man was going to start searching for her and eventually find her, obviously. And
no dice.
No dice. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that answers your question. Josh, here's your question. Gee, what was the last concert you went to?
Oh, man. What was the last? Oh, Billy Joel in Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park was a fantastic show. And he does this thing now where he'll essentially poll the audience. He'll give 2 options, and the option that gets the louder cheers is the one he sings, which is pretty
So
dope.
he's like, all right, Piano Man, or We Didn't Start the Fire?
No, it's not like that. It's not his, not the big hits. He's going to play all of those anyway. But this was like, do you want to hear Stiletto or do you want to hear Zanzibar? Right. And those 2, I wanted to hear, but I actually said to Laura going to the show, if I hear Zanzibar and Stiletto, I don't even give a shit what else I hear. I'm fine with whatever. And he ended up playing Stiletto, not Zanzibar, and I was fine with that. Because I've seen Billy Joel, I think 3 times, and he's amazing. And he's really, really amazing in concert. That was the last show I saw.
Nice. I don't ever go to concerts, so.
Okay. Oh my God. I cannot. Do you collect anything? And what is it?
No, I don't collect anything at all. I like to keep a clean house, and collecting causes clutter.
Right, no clutter for you.
I don't want no clutter.
Why don't you tell the listeners about the latest collection and what you're doing with it?
So I collect movies. I collect comic books. I collect Bad Habits, but I also collect board games. And the most recent thing that I've been doing, the recent hobby that I have acquired is, so I kickstarted for dollars a Marvel board game called Marvel United. And I fell in love with this game because of the art style. The pieces looked really cool, and they looked really just different. And the gameplay looked awesome. And I love board games, and I figured this is going to be great for board game night. And then shit happened. So I kickstarted this board game. I got the core set. I got 7 expansions, and then I got, because I did the Kickstarter.
Sure.
For money, and I got all these extra perks, which all came with these character figures, mini figure pieces, their cards, their locations, all this stuff. Those figures come unpainted. They come in just blue or red, and I knew this going in, so I was fine with it. And I knew this thinking, I'm going to learn how to paint these. It's just like, you go into a game shop or a comic book store, you see the wall of paints and Warhammer miniatures and stuff like that. I wanted to learn to do that. And so I have been painting these, and I after 3 months of trial and error and starting over and stripping the paint off and completely going from scratch, I'm finally happy with the way I'm getting them to look. I've finished painting Iron Man completely. Captain Marvel is almost done. Captain America will be next. And I still have about 89 more figures to do. So, and then, Josh, to add insult to injury, the day after I got my 7 expansions, because it came in 2 shipments. I got the core box first, and then I got all the expansions later. They then announced, hey, we're doing another Kickstarter.
Oh, good.
It's the same game, but we're going to add extra features to it. And now it's all X-Men. And you can have all X-Men for money. And I said, I will spend money to get all
now
of the
you
things.
have 2 universes?
I have. So here's the thing. I can play them all. I can combine them all. This is going to have X-Men. This is going to have Fantastic Four in it as well. And
Did they?
I'll
Let
have
me ask,
another 100 figures to paint.
Did they? So, did you have to like go to a hobby store and like I need all of your paints?
Yes and no. I ordered them online.
Okay.
And I have a buddy of mine who also has.
Do you
this hobby.
order like a comic book heroes pack of paints?
I ordered water-based acrylic paints.
How do you know what colors though? Like, how do you know what colors to get?
You don't. I ordered like this pack of like 89 different colors. So I have a pretty good variety.
Yeah, it seems like enough colors.
And then obviously, you mix and match and you color wheel and you try to figure out the mixtures there.
Like that guy on TikTok?
Yeah, like that guy on TikTok. Or Bob Ross. You take your sun yellow and you mix it a little bit with the beastly brown. You get a nice. That's actually how I got the dirty blonde hair on Captain Marvel.
That's crazy.
That is 2 drops of sun yellow, 1 drop of beastly brown. Mix it a little bit. But yeah, and you know what? Anything I don't have, I just discovered that there is a gaming store within a mile of my house. So I will drive down there, say, hey, I need glossy varnish, and they're like, here it is, and then I leave.
No kidding.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listeners, this has been date night for friends, and I think it's maybe something we can come back to on another episode.
You know what, Josh? I think I'm ready for a second date with you.
All right, that's good. I'm glad you're ready for a second date. Well, so you've stuck with us through these trailers and this date night for friends, and we've talked about all kinds of random shit. That's our show for this week. Thanks for sticking with us. We will see you again, and we will explain to you all of the things that are going on in the nerdy world. Thanks for making us part of your day. Have a good one.
Signing off.
Well, welcome to the club, 'cause you are back on a nerd.